what do you charge for brush cutting an hour? I see on some of these Facebook groups. And you got to set yourself apart because otherwise you're just competing to zero.
Welcome back to the Skid Steer Nation podcast, everybody. I am your host, Ryan Deemer. And as you know, this podcast is focused on interviewing business owners in the excavation and dirt moving industries. I'm kind of excited about our guest today. We actually have a mutual friend, and we'll probably get into that a little bit. He's got a pretty neat journey that he's been on. Kyle's been on an interesting one too. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with all of you. Guys, this episode's brought to you by, you're going to be shocked, Skid Steer Nation. So if you're looking for any high quality American-made skid steer attachments, jump over to skidsteernation.com and you can search our entire catalog of attachments that will fit your machines. Well, without any further ado, we want to introduce Kyle Michaud. He is the owner of Carolina Dozer. He is from, I think is it LaPierre, North Carolina? Did I say that? Did I say
Purlear,
that?
Purlear, North Carolina.
Purlear, North Carolina. I knew I was going to mess that one up. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Enough.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah. So Carolina Dozer sounds pretty straightforward. You must use some larger equipment and do some larger earth moving projects.
Yeah, we do. We do all kinds of stuff, but yeah.
Nice. How long have you owned Carolina Dozer? Is this your first excavation company or have you had multiple?
Yep. First excavation company. We've been in business for a little over 3 years. But yeah, we do mass excavation, final grades, finished grades, driveways, land clearing. If you use heavy equipment, we'll do the job.
Yeah. Do you find that most of your customers are like commercial project managers or home builders? Or are you doing a lot for residential homeowners?
We work a lot with builders, but we work probably 75% with homeowners. Basically they'll buy mountain property up here, anywhere from 5 to 500 acres, and they'll ask us to build a driveway or a road in with a home site and potentially a pad.
Yeah. Do you find that working on that steep of a slope that you have a lot less competition because of the difficulty of work?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging, and there's a little more risk to it, but we have it nailed down pretty good.
That's fantastic. So 3 years ago, you start this journey. What was happening in your life? What were you doing right before this? And what made you take the leap into excavation?
Certainly. So basically I bought about 100 acres here, and then I ended up buying a tractor and a Bobcat mini excavator, an E42, which we actually still use today. And then after I got the excavator, people started asking me to do stuff, and they were offering to pay me pretty good to run it for the day, which I just bought it because I enjoyed doing it. Then long story short, I stayed so busy on that I ended up buying a bigger excavator, and I hired somebody to run that. And then, now we got 7 guys and probably anywhere from 8 to 12 excavators and dozers.
Nice. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a similar story to that. I bought a piece of equipment for myself, for my property. Yeah. People asked me to do some work for them, and it just kind of snowballed into me now owning an excavation company.
I never thought I'd be doing this, man.
Yeah. What was your background before?
So I was in live events, produced music festivals, and then we produced expos and conventions.
What a drastic change in career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had no background in excavation at all.
Yeah. So I come from a bar and restaurant industry where I own live music venues and some restaurants and bars for 15 years. And when I got into manufacturing for the excavation industry, I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but there's something about when you do promo work, like what we both, yours is a little different, but we did things similar. Like if you wanted to do something like a party on Saturday, you could start on a Tuesday, dial in the offer, dial in this, get the ads out, and like you could have something turnkey in 4 days. And now it's like it's a delayed satisfaction because very rarely do you get to go in there and like zip a job out in one day.
No, I know it requires a lot of patience.
Yeah. Did you struggle with that at all?
Yeah. So basically, when I first got on my machine, I think like a lot of people, it's kind of counterintuitive because the slower you go, the faster you go. So that's, a great operator just has tons of patience and just is able to basically, set the timeline for each phase of the project, even just rough grading, excavation. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely, it definitely takes, you got to do it slow.
Yeah. I think the old Navy SEAL said it best, right? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah, that's right, man.
So there's a lot to be said for that. With your background, I'm sure you had teams that helped you do the promotional work and setting up events and all that. Did the framework and the
Yep.
structure from that work help you build a business that was easier to hire and train, or did you struggle just like everybody else in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely gained some leadership experience doing that. And, I know how to, find good qualities and good traits in people and, weed out the people that may not be a good fit. But yeah, I would say overall, just for, communication and leadership, it really helped. I've had guys with me for 2 and 3 years. We've actually never fired anybody. So, just finding good guys and, investing in them is, I think, something that I learned at my previous role.
Yeah. So there's two things you just mentioned that I want to just kind of expand on a little bit. One, you said you know how to find good qualities in people. Like, what
Yeah.
qualities are you looking for if you were going to hire somebody next week?
Yeah, I guess people say a lot of the same things, but honest, reliable, professional. Those things can be broken down, 100 different ways. But, if they have those three qualities, typically that, the rest will follow.
And how do you figure out those qualities, like through the interview process?
Just small tests, letting them trust you first, like building trust. And then typically someone will tell you who they are once they trust you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have friends that, they may put on a show at the beginning, but, once they trust you, they'll tell you exactly who they are. So just building trust. And typically too, at least with 3 of the guys, we started just on Fridays. I said, let's start with just Fridays and see if you like working for me and I like you working for, whatever. But, basically we'll see how we like, because it's just as important for me to like them as for them to like us. So
yeah, it definitely has to be mutually beneficial.
Yeah. And I do that a lot with customers too. When we're doing, $50,000, $100,000 jobs, I'll typically say, we'll do it in phases. Like, we'll do one phase of the project and just see if, they enjoy working with us. They like the quality of work. And then I tell them we'll jump into the next one instead of, kind of getting married together for 3 months, without knowing that we like each other.
Yeah. And those phases, I'm assuming the other nice benefit of that is that you can then invoice more frequently throughout the project.
Yeah, that's so important, but I'll typically set up timelines, up front with, in regards to the payment schedule. We always require 50% up front to get on the schedule. And, we're booking 2-3 weeks out now, but, we'll give them an exact date plus or minus 2 days, just to factor in for weather. But, we'll require 50% up front because we don't want to be, putting them on the schedule, pushing other people back, showing up and, we got somebody that doesn't want to pay. And if they'll pay 50%, they'll pay the rest.
Right. Absolutely. They've bought in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They got enough skin in the game. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I'll also incentivize them too, by telling them we'll give them an exact start date, which a lot of people don't do. I've heard so many times that, oh, we've been waiting on this guy for 9 months, this and that. So,
yeah. And that just makes me scratch my head. Like, you've got a customer with cash in hand waiting to pay you.
Yeah.
And you don't show up to do the work.
I think too, there's a lot of owner operators and people that just, haven't scaled. So they're not able to, because I mean, I got 3 crews. We're doing 3-4 jobs, simultaneously, so we're able to kind of get the stuff done a lot quicker. But if you're working for yourself, and sometimes it's harder to, especially if you got, if you're the one doing the work too, you may find an easier job and say, hey, I want to do that instead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How many hours a week do you typically work?
Me personally, I was like over 50 hours a week. But a lot of it is, it's not in an excavator, it's just doing clerical work or giving it estimates or sending invoices or, doing payroll or, meeting with accountants, insurance agents, just.
Yeah. So now that you've got crews and men working for you, like it's not a huge gap between personal life and business life? Because I always see like that first year, especially the first year and a half, like you're just grinding, trying to do all the tasks yourself. And
Yeah.
like everyone's wife is like, hello, what about me over here? I haven't seen you in 4 weeks. And when I do see you, you just want to lay down and sleep.
Yeah. No, I've always valued my personal time. So I've never been like that. But yeah, fortunately, we got a great group of guys, and everyone kind of works together to accomplish the same goals.
Yeah. You went from just doing some work for friends and kept getting more interest in all that. When you decided to go full time with this, like what was your strategic plan for getting your name out there and getting people to know who you were?
So basically, we were doing a lot of local stuff, just word of mouth. But now we just built this beautiful shop right on a highway. It's called Highway 421, and it gets, probably 1,000 vehicles an hour, that just pass by. So we got massive signs. One of our signs is 10 feet by 20 feet. I was paying for billboards, but the thing is, like, I had two or three billboards, but it's different here because people see our equipment. They see us walking around all day. They see, we got a 10 by 20 sign with a, three 50,000 pound excavators next to it. They just kind of put two and two together. So it's just, this thing's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you in the shop today?
Yeah, I'm not, but I have a house right next to the shop.
Nice.
But
I
yeah,
was just looking at your background going, that's an awful, beautiful shop.
No, this is my house that I basically bought it 30 acres with an old house on it that, last winter when the weather was bad, just to keep the guys going, bought this house to basically, remodel, and then we built a shop and did a bunch of land clearing and grading on this piece of property.
Nice. So if you were to have to just choose one of the services that you kind of do for all of your customers, like what would you say, if I could do this, my company could do this every day? Like what would be the one thing that you love doing?
I would say driveways and land clearing. I tell my guys all the time, some of them came from, highway jobs, where they have engineers and surveyors all the time, inspectors. But basically we're in the woods, and it's like, I tell them it's like you're cutting hair, like it's an art. You're drawing you're painting a picture. Nobody's telling you what to do. You basically, a lot of times the homeowners just give us the freedom to kind of build the road how we wish, and install the drainage as we wish. We don't have to follow any plans. So yeah, it's basically just pleasing the homeowners and not having many checks and balances. So I'd say land clearing and road building is our favorite.
Yeah, very nice. And so if a customer calls you, you're literally going start to finish. Like you'll come in and clear the property, develop and cut the road in. Do you do the site pad and any land clearing for their yard and everything too? Like start to finish?
Yeah. We'll typically do it in three, like that situation we'll do in three phases. Basically, we'll meet them out at the property, figure out what their goals are, identify the location of the home. Cause typically they'll do this, in building a second home or a, primary residence. We'll meet with them. We'll flag everything out. And then we'll build the driveway, do all the drainage, and then, work with their builder to identify the size of the house. And we'll build a pad to those specs, basically on, with our laser tools. And then, from there, then we'll wait for the builder to be ready. Then we'll dig the footers, a week or two prior to them starting to pour, concrete or superior walls. And then we'll come back for the third and final time, which is like a finish grade.
Mm-hmm.
So once the builder's done, they'll call us back and we'll basically just, make everything pretty.
Yeah. And would you say that type of a project is 50% of your workflow throughout the summer and year, or what percentage?
I would say probably closer to 80% is, people from, cause we're in the mountains in North Carolina. There's a lot of, people from Florida, the Northeast, kind of coming down to this area to make it a second home or just potentially retire down here, like a ton of people. And, so yeah, I would say, a lot of our calls are that exactly. They bought a piece of raw land and, they need some clearing and road cutting done.
Yeah. And is this the customer that's calling you direct, or have you built a good network of home builders And
Yeah, the builders are tough to work for. I'd so much prefer to work directly with the customer, because a lot of times, in my experience here, at least, the builder will give a price to the builder directly, and then they'll mark it up 30-40%, and then they'll give it to the customer, and they have all these expectations of us, not knowing that, they're not involved with the billing situation. So then it's like, we need to please the homeowner, but we got to go through the builder. So it's so much better when, we were able to work with the customer directly, because, at the end of the day, we want our end customer to be happy. So if we're able to communicate with them, meet them on site at different points, it makes for a better final product.
Nice. So outside of your big building and beautiful sign, like, how are you attracting homeowners, especially out of towners and stuff, or people in the area that are looking at?
Yeah, truthfully, like probably 70-80% is the signs. We have some, we do, like I said, we do so many projects too. So we have signs up at different job sites in the area. But yeah, Google for Business is a great tool. Our website's a great tool. I would say social media is not really that relevant for us, because, these people that, want to spend, the amount it costs to do a lot of this work, they're not looking on Facebook for it,
Right. No, yeah, I see that.
Google search.
I've seen that in the industry too, where, when Facebook a couple of years ago, like, you could sell anything on it. And now, like, you can sell certain services and certain size jobs on it, but you're not going to go and meet a land developer that's building a subdivision through Facebook.
No, you used to be able to target those people based on income and, demographics that you're just not allowed to use anymore.
Yeah.
But,
we've shifted a lot of our attention. Like, we still want to do Facebook advertising for certain services, or especially seasonal work.
Yeah.
But it's like, we want to make sure you've got a really strong Google My Business presence, that you're really active on getting the reviews, so you rank high locally, and getting some sort of a website if you don't have one, or, just tweaking that. But you said something too about having signs at all of your jobs. I really like that. And I don't hear from a lot of guys that do that. Like, do you leave the yard sign in the property when you leave, or do you just have it up while you're working?
Depends. A lot of our customers are really proud, that they, hired a company that they enjoyed working with to get the job done right. So a lot of customers will say, like, leave a sign here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. People say, oh, we see your signs all over the place. And that helps us a lot too.
Absolutely. Especially
but for a local,
if you're seeing those signs at numerous driveway entrances.
Yeah.
And like, people are like, oh my God, he's built all of these. That's the guy I want to build mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we got 4 service trucks, with all with our logos and stuff on them, and they stay right here on the highway. People constantly see those driving all around town. But I think the biggest thing is, Google for Business for localized service companies.
Yeah. And like, what we're talking about here really is branding. Like, you've developed a really good brand locally, and you take advantage of job sites, vehicles, shop equipment.
Yeah.
And then you make sure that your brand is littered on all of that and very prevalent, stands out, and can be seen nearby and far away. And I think that's a lot of guys just, they get a little sticker, they stick it on the side of their skid steer, and from 30 feet away, you can't even read it.
No. Yeah. Man, I get the funniest calls too, like people wanting to put a bulldozer at their kid's birthday party.
Do you really?
Yeah. And I probably had 5 people last year try to, buy our shirts. So I think we got to sell those online or something.
Yeah. Do you ever get calls about people looking to buy equipment because they confuse you with Carolina Cat?
Never. No. Not once.
I just thought with the Carolina Dozer, Carolina Cat, that they thought maybe you were an equipment dealer.
No. And that's typically more like B2B. No consumer really is going to be making that incorrect distinction. But
so if you were to look back, like when you started hiring your first 1, 2, 3 employees, and if you were talking to a guy that was a solo operator that was busting at the seams and he really needed to hire a couple guys, what would be your guidance and direction and the framework that you would tell him to implement so that when he does hire, he can hit the ground running?
Yeah. Well, I would say, I guess the first thing, which may seem basic, is make sure you're ready, because the last thing you want to do is find the right candidate and, not have enough work for him. So, in the beginning, I was buying real estate, I had, I had over 50 mobile homes. Like I had a big real estate portfolio. And so, we were, when I hired my first guy, I told him, I said, we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. We may not be on an excavator, 8 hours a day, but, washing machines, cleaning machines, maintenance on some of these rental properties. We're building houses and stuff. So just make sure you have the work lined up, and make sure the expectations are there too. Don't tell someone they're going to be, an operator when, in fact, you're going to need them to do, repairs, maintenance, and maybe even cleaning the machines on rainy days.
I think business owners get so caught up like, oh, I need help. And they're like, hey, can you operate a machine? How good are you at this? Like, great, let's start next week. And like, that's the extent of the conversation. There's been
that's right.
No expectations set, no clarity as to the roles, because when you're a 2-man, 3-man team, nobody's just an operator.
Right. Exactly.
You're just too small.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. And on rainy days, if you don't have enough work, I got to price in, when we price jobs, I got to factor in that, I got 7 guys that got to get paid rain or shine. I don't tell them that they're just not working today. That's not fair to them and their families. So yeah, I think just, being really clear, and concise and about your expectations and just putting everything on the table before you bring someone on board, because you can burn bridges, if you start, hiring people and you're not ready, you can't pay them. And
yeah. And then what's your most important trait in people? Like, do you want the best skilled operator, or do you want the best personality?
No, I would say the best personality, because, in our business, I was telling one of my guys today, actually, it's like, we're here to put out fires. Like, there's always problems, and basically you're a problem solver. But for me, I would rather have somebody who doesn't have much experience as an operator, because, just like you and me, I mean, we added so much value to this industry because we came, without knowing, what everyone else does. It's easy to train somebody if they have no experience, but if you got a guy that's worked for the highway department for 15 years and you hire him to do, private residential or commercial projects, he's not gonna be able to keep up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
So I would much rather train somebody to use an excavator than have somebody who, unless, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things you got to consider when you're hiring someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always talk about hiring for desire.
Yeah.
If a guy's got a desire and a willingness, and he's a good, because I've seen, and not outside of the excavation industry, I've seen it in companies that were 5 people big, 50 people big, 500 people big. But I've watched one bad seed erode a culture in companies of all sizes. So to me, it's so important that you don't hire the know-it-all and the I'm better than you guy. And just because he's got 30 years experience doesn't mean he's going to take your business to the next level. He potentially could drop it back a level.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'd rather have someone that's, willing to learn, willing to try out something different, rather than somebody who's, done the same thing for 15 years in a different culture, because, not every company has the same culture.
Right. So, absolutely. And we're seeing that in the world today, right? Like, hey, Target, North Face, all those companies, cool. If you're into that and that's your thing, shop there.
Yeah.
But it's just a different culture than what most guys in our industry probably like. It's not my culture. I'm like, you are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct. So what's the next plan for you? Like, what's the vision of Carolina Dozer for the next 12 months, 36 months?
Yeah. So we're actually like really comfortable with where we're at. We have 7 guys. We run 2 to 3 crews every day, but basically we're just going to continue to upgrade our equipment and invest in our people. With the new shop, new work trucks. We're not going to start scaling yet, because I feel like, where we've come is like, we've come to a really good place, and we've come to a good place that we want to stay and like, practice and work out in this space. And then, I don't know, maybe in the next year or 2, we'll scale bigger, but there's a lot that goes into, when you go from 7 employees to like, even 12 or 15, it's a huge step.
Looking at a massive cash influx between equipment and trucks and insurance, and
there's just a lot of even doing something like payroll. I mean, everything is just much bigger, workers' comp and, carrying all the insurance. And so you really need to hire, a lot of people that are in administrative roles too. I feel like once you get over 10 employees.
Absolutely.
So we're going to stay where we are, and we're just going to keep, investing in our guys, putting them through classes and getting them better trucks. And
so when you say classes, are these like operator classes, or what type of training are you providing these guys?
Like Caterpillar has training courses for some of the newer equipment. We're upgrading a lot of GPS stuff, and then, getting involved with the OSHA stuff. So getting certified and, basically just, getting erosion certifications, just making sure that, we're basically just want to get these guys going as close to 100% as possible.
Yeah. And I will say this, just from things I've seen with a couple other, business owners that were at your size.
Yeah.
A couple of them went one step farther, and they actually invested in their team with education and training on like finance and personal traits, like bringing in financial advisors to talk to them about the importance of having a Roth IRA or having a budget for this stuff, or, just to make sure that they've got the security and safety in their family and their own personal lives. And as his team continued to grow, the ones that actually responded well to that type of training, all rose to the top and became his key leaders.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And actually, we have a meeting next week with our CPA just to discuss, tax strategies with a few of the guys. But yeah, that's brilliant.
Because like he took it away from just being better employees to being, how do we be better people
at home?
Home, work, all of it, right?
Yeah.
How are we better stewards of our money? How are we more fiscally responsible? And that, if you're fiscally responsible, like, you start becoming more responsible in other areas of your life too.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, that's really cool. But yeah, that's something that we should implement too.
Yeah. Just something to think about, because like the more you invest in them, like you're investing in their skill set right now.
Right.
Invest in them a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good, man. I like that.
Nice. Like, do you have a 401k for them yet? Or are you something on your radar at all?
No. We do have other offerings for them, but no 401k.
Yeah. Gotcha. Just curious.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So as I said at the beginning, like, we actually have a mutual friend, and our friend is the one that connected us through Facebook, of course. But Jake so I met Jake when he was the sales manager for Scaling with Systems, which is a business. Okay. It's a business mentorship or like coaching program that just rocket ships you from where you're at today to where you want to be faster. So when I started Skid Steer Nation, I joined the Scaling with Systems. I knew the owner of the company. And what we did in 6 months with his guidance and the videos that he supplied and everything else, what I did in 6 months, I can easily say it would have taken me 18 to 24 months.
Really?
To figure it out on my own. Like when you can start breaking down technical aspects of marketing or framework and SOPs and hiring your first employees, and like, instead of, and I knew how to do a lot of it, but like a lot of it was all kind of like mixed in your head, and to just have like, and I just would tell myself, like, you paid all this money, just follow the steps.
Yeah.
Right. And like, just get out of your own way. Don't create bottlenecks.
Exactly.
So so Jake was the guy that I talked to and actually signed me up for the program. And then when we did a live event in Miami, we got to hang out for a weekend. Yeah. And he's got that crazy mustache, and like he just bought the farm in Tennessee and ended up adopting a zebra. I mean, I was like, what?
Yeah, he's a riot, man. I remember the first time I met him. Basically, there was this company called Yik Yak, and they received some big investment, and basically they rented a tour bus, and they would go to all these college campuses, and they threw this spring break in Lake Havasu. And I remember they bought this $40,000 water slide that went into Lake Havasu, and they brought a bunch of interns and a bunch of big artists, and at this hotel, and for 4 weeks, every week, a new group of college kids would come. And Jake was there, and he was just so excited to be there. And it was so hot out, and he got so dehydrated that his hand like ended up in some weird shape. And so I was like his older brother taking care of him, man. He was just so excited to be there, but he was just, man, he's a good kid.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of experience in like sales processes, sales scripting, sales team management. Have you and him talked at all about that framework and all? And have you implemented any of that into your business?
No, really. Yeah, we've never worked together professionally, but
Right.
like I said, Jake was my neighbor. So
Yeah. And then like for you, like one of the big things we just talked about with me getting like a coach or mentor, like who do you lean on for advice in this industry?
So I don't actually like when I get advice, I don't go to somebody that does it. I'll talk to, a mentor or a friend that's in a different industry, and I'll kind of tell him the situation, and he'll basically, give me his advice. But, I got one guy that works for us. I mean, I work a lot with the guys that, I employ to talk about different things, but like what specifically?
No, just a curiosity, like, because like as a business owner, like, we can't be
Yeah.
great at everything. And
Yeah.
we get so sometimes our pride gets in our way that we'll figure it out and then we actually make the problem worse. So like even for me, like I work with a local university and I have a meeting once a week with the director of a small business development center.
Yeah.
Just so we can go, hey, why are you doing this? Last week or a month ago, we were talking about this
Oh,
direction. And that's like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm getting off track with some crazy idea that's actually going to push me backwards, not forward. So it just kind of helps keep me guided in that way. And like, if I have an issue, like my attorney's great, but man, it's $375 every time I call him.
yeah. Yeah.
So
And he may not be able to give you the advice you need for some particular
yeah, so
question.
we can find some other people. Like, so I've got like, I mean, I call it like a round table and I've got like 5 or 6 people that depending on the business application that I'm needing assistance with, or I just, that whole story, like you can't see the forest through the trees because you're in it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need that that second perspective that's got the high
Yeah.
level view. So
Yeah.
I've just
Zoom
got a
out,
group of people
macro.
that I've got a list out that I'm like, all right, I'm having a problem with this. Oh, I'm going to call Dan, or oh, I'm going to call Aaron.
Yeah. So I have some really close friends that are, very successful in their own regard in totally different industries, accounting, hedge fund, IT, just great guys with a lot of, professional experience in different like higher roles in leadership. But we talk almost every day. And so when I ever have a problem or question about my personal or business life, typically, they're the best ones because they know me, they've been around here. They know, you know, but yeah, I agree. That's so important, to bounce ideas because you can get so narrow minded that, you need to zoom out every once in a while.
Yeah. Because I started going to a counselor like 7 or 8 years ago because I was like, I'm the common denominator in all my failed relationships. Like it's me, right? It's not them. It's always them, right? No, it was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still go every 4 to 6 weeks just for a personal check-in
Yeah.
because if you just kind of like start getting up every day and doing your normal routine and like a year and a half can go by and you can be like, oh my God, I have neglected my health or I've neglected my
Yeah.
relationship or oh wow, I was really bad with my money for 6 months. So like just to go in every 4 to 6 weeks to like sit down and kind of like recenter myself.
Yeah.
I love doing that. And the 2 days before the appointment are more valuable to me than the actual appointment because my head starts thinking, all right, what are we going to talk to
Yeah.
Scott about when I get there? Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
really, oh, like, oh yeah, I'm a little off here. Like, it's uncomfortable at first, but after about 6 months to a year, you start
It's
really
a good
diving.
exercise.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great exercise.
So I do yoga regularly, and I work out like once or twice a day. I'll go to the gym and basically just put my headphones in, and like I was in yoga last night, and I just, it just helps you think of stuff because you're right. Once you get in this cycle of things, you're not really looking side to side. You're just kind of going straight ahead. But I like to get out and, travel and then, do some stuff where I could just unplug and, consider everything I've been doing.
Yeah, you got to give yourself some space. And
Yeah.
I go through phases where I'm really good about doing meditation, and then I go through
Yeah.
phases where I'm terrible about it. And I can definitely
Yeah.
see the difference.
That's why I have to go to a class because I'll never make the time to do it here.
Yeah, because I when I get in a good phase with it though, like I'll be working throughout the day, and then like I get overwhelmed with stress, or I start thinking of like 80 things that's got to get done, and that's my trigger to go. You need to go meditate for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
recenter, let go, and then come back, build a strategic plan, and work on the things that are the most important, and then whatever's left tomorrow is left tomorrow. And if I don't do that, then
Yeah.
I just spin all day, and actually you accomplish nothing. I accomplish nothing the
Yeah.
rest of the day.
That's what I tell people. That's what I'll say. Like, if a lot of times people will say, I'm working, especially like with computer work and stuff, I'm working, 8 or 9 hours a day. I said, well, what the heck are you doing? Because what it's like, if you're in you can make a list and you can get so much stuff done.
Yeah. And then I like to make it like I'll make a list and then I flip the paper over and I'll write the 3 most important things that have to be done today.
Yeah.
The needle movers, we call them, like what's going to actually move the business forward.
Yeah.
Because like Friday payroll, like you already know you have to do it. That's not part of your big 3.
Right. It's just something you have to do.
Something you have to get done that day. So, but if I have a list of 30 things and I get overwhelmed looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to get through all that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, if we only get 3 things done today, what 3 can we say that was a great day?
Yeah. The needle movers. Yeah. Because if you're not doing the needle movers, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good stuff, man. Very good stuff. So what advice do you have for anyone out there listening that's looking to scale their business or get into business in the excavation industry?
I would say pick a niche, find something that you enjoy doing and just get really, really good at it. And then also another thing I wanted to mention is, because, if you're the jack of all trades, then if you're not the best at one thing, then, you're competing with everyone else. But another thing that really took us to the next level is, investing in high dollar equipment, because the more expensive your equipment is, basically like we just got a Cat 320 and, from mass excavation, and the competition, I mean, we're here, but now the competition's there's not a lot of competition when she's getting to, everyone's got a mini excavator. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically that's, if I could do it again, I would buy like a really expensive piece of machinery, a very niche piece of machinery, like tub grinders or something, mobile tub grinders, and just dive into that.
Nice. I love that you said pick a niche. Like I scream that from the mountaintops, man. And especially I get it when you start a business, like you need to make money, like you quit a job or you've invested all of your cash, liquidated some things. And like, I just need money. And so you'll take anything to get cash in and end up spinning your wheels. And then it isn't until you find a niche. I had a guy that we worked with he just started his business and I was preaching to him find a niche. And he was just like, whatever. And a year and a half later, he called me. He's like, took me a little while, but I finally took your advice. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, we niched down. We're focusing on septic systems. Yeah. And he goes, and we're doing 5 to 10 a month. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, exactly. 2-man crew. That's it. Yeah. And the other thing too is, set something, I see it all the time with people saying, what do you charge for brush cutting an hour? I see on some of these Facebook groups. And you got to set yourself apart, because otherwise you're just competing to zero. It's a race to zero. And, basically the factors that we use to differentiate ourselves are professionalism and also timeliness. So basically we'll give them a date where a lot of these other guys won't. And then we'll also, give them references without them even asking. Yeah. Those are 3 things. Because, if otherwise these customers are just comparing, this price to this price, and you got to give them something else, you know what I mean? Because especially like, if you're doing a job that there's a lot of other guys that do it, you got to set yourself apart some other way, because price isn't always be the thing. Yeah. And I think you'll probably agree with this when I say this, but you own a service business, but at the end of the day, you don't sell a service, you sell a solution to a person's problem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we're not just going out there and doing something, price per hour. Yeah, at the end of the day, you're right. They want something achieved, something finished. Yeah, they have a problem, which is why they're contacting a business that can take care of that problem. We as an industry have priced ourselves into an hourly rate industry. Yeah. So now all you have is a job with a lot of expenses. Yeah. You can't scale unless you work more hours. Just give them a price to have the job completed. Right. So pack it full of value. Yeah. Understand why they want the project done. What pain points are they feeling that made them want to fix the problem? Yeah. And use that same terminology in your solution. Yeah. If I get thorns in my pants and they poke me in the leg every time I walk the fence row, then say, when we're done clearing the fence row, you'll never have to worry about a thorn sticking you in the leg again.
Exactly. Yeah. And to that point, I'll identify what they're looking to have accomplished, and I'll give them a price. We don't ever do hourly. We don't do daily. The only times that we incorporate our daily rate are, if it's something that's just going to take 2 or 3 hours, I'll just tell them, like, you're going to have to, this is our daily rate. So you're going to have to pay that, whether we're there for 10 minutes or 4 hours.
Yeah. Because your mobilization cost is a hard cost.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll say, what do you charge for 1 hour? I said, well, we don't do that, but you can pay this price if it's something that we can accomplish in a day if we have time on our schedule. But I always give them a price, a total price, instead of, identify what, exactly to your point, identify what they're looking to have accomplished.
Yeah. And then as far as like your estimates, because you're working on some pretty larger projects.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming you're not writing an estimate in QuickBooks.
No, basically I can give a price. I mean, even for a job that's, $75,000 or $100,000, I can give them a price on site.
But do you give them anything to use as a reference point to see what you're going to be doing for them and what?
Yeah, we don't. I mean, for the most part, we don't break it down too much, but basically, I'll basically just a quick summary. I don't do anything too thorough or detailed, because then it's just going to hurt you in the end, And if they want a thorough, detailed plan, then, maybe it's not the right fit. I tell them that we can hire a surveyor if they want, something real detailed, but we don't put anything out there like that.
Got it.
Yeah, just to kind of give you a reference point, it takes 5 minutes for me to send a quote. Whether the job's $5,000 or $100,000.
Are you sending just an email that you type up, or what do you use? How do you?
Yeah, just an email. We use Invoice Simple. Yeah, I think it costs $10 a month. Our logo's on there.
Yeah, a lot of guys use that.
Yeah, our payment.
Invoice Simple, and the other one is Joist, and I don't mind either one of them, but the Joist one's nice because they actually partner with some lenders and give finance options to the customers.
Yeah, but to be honest, like for us, if our customers can't afford it, then they're not the customers we want to be dealing with.
Very true.
Yeah, and we only do, checks, wire transfer, for ACHs. We don't do any credit card payments or anything.
Nice, man. I think we covered a ton of topics today.
Yeah,
kind of jumped all over the board, but there's a lot of good nuggets in there.
Appreciate it,
for people out there listening to that. But I know we were supposed to connect offline a long time ago. And like, what happened? Did you get bit by a dog?
Yeah, I did get bit by a dog.
Right? Was it on the nose?
Yeah, it's actually healed a lot, but for a while I didn't.
Because like we had a date set for like to do a phone call and like meet, because Jake wanted us to, because of our industry and our fit.
Yeah.
And like the morning of, you're like, dude, I can't talk today. I got bit by a dog. And you send me a photo. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're definitely unavailable today. So.
Yeah. It's finally healed up, man. But yeah, it was a few months ago.
Yeah, it was. So awesome, man. Well, I don't want to keep you up. I know you got a business to go run and operate. And I really appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me and just talking shop and sharing some advice for others out there that are listening. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much for that.
And I appreciate the opportunity, Brian. You taught me actually a lot, so I appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad it was mutually beneficial then.
Heck yeah.
So if you're listening to the podcast and you're still here and you found value in this, you're looking for ways to grow your business, we do offer a program called Groundbreaking Growth. You can go learn more about it at groundbreakinggrowth.com. And what it is, it's just a mentoring coaching program where you get to work with me and we define your business. We teach you how to scale your business and how to increase your profits. So to learn more, head over to groundbreakinggrowth.com. You can schedule a time to sit down and talk to me from the website. And until the next episode, we'll see you guys around.